Amelia Carter's world looked perfect from the outside. A beautiful mansion in the suburbs, elegant dinner parties filled with laughter, and a husband, David, whose success as a lawyer made them the envy of their peers. For years she had dreamed of this life. A loving home and a growing family. When she discovered she was pregnant, not just with one baby but triplets, it felt like a miracle, the universe rewarding her patience and love. Friends showered her with congratulations, and the glow of impending motherhood surrounded her. Yet behind her warm smile, Amelia felt an unease she couldn't shake. David had grown strangely cold. He spent more nights at the office, brushed off her gentle concerns, and often seemed distracted when she spoke. Gone were the long conversations, the soft laughter before bed, and the small gestures that once made her feel cherished. In their place came silence, avoidance, and distance. When she'd reach for his hand, he'd pull away under the excuse of exhaustion. What should have been the happiest time of her life began to feel like the loneliest. The dream of a perfect marriage was slipping away, leaving Amelia to wonder if love had quietly left their home. One quiet evening, as rain tapped softly against the window, Amelia sat in the living room folding baby clothes when she heard David's voice drifting from his study. It wasn't his usual business tone. It was tender, intimate, and filled with warmth she hadn't heard directed at her in months. Her heart froze. The soft chuckle, the affectionate whisper of a name, Maya, felt like a knife slicing through her chest. For a moment, she convinced herself it must be work-related, a misunderstanding. But the way he said, "I can't wait to see you again," crushed every fragile hope she clung to. Later that night, unable to sleep, she checked his phone when he left it unattended. Her trembling fingers traced the call history and found the number. Maya Reed. The name hit her like thunder. She knew Maya well. Young, ambitious, always eager to please David at the firm. Amelia had once welcomed her with kindness, proud of her husband for mentoring rising talent. Now that trust burned to ashes. She sat silently in the dark, tears falling unchecked, clutching her belly protectively. Though betrayal consumed her, Amelia told herself to stay strong, for her unborn children, even as her heart silently broke. Thunder rumbled outside as lightning illuminated the dark sky, mirroring the chaos building inside Amelia's body. She clutched her swollen belly, gasping as pain tore through her. Her contractions had started far too soon. Panic surged as she dialed David's number again and again, but each call went unanswered. The silence on the other end of the line was louder than any storm. Desperate, she called his office, her voice trembling as she begged for help, only to be told he had left hours ago. A cold realization settled in her chest. He wasn't coming. When her water broke, Amelia cried out, gripping the kitchen counter as another wave of pain consumed her. A concerned neighbor, hearing her screams, rushed over and immediately called an ambulance. Within minutes, she was on a stretcher, rain pelting her face as paramedics loaded her into the vehicle. Inside the hospital, nurses moved swiftly, reassuring her that they would reach her husband. But as they prepped her for delivery, Amelia's tears mixed with sweat. Her hands trembled as she whispered to her unborn babies, "It's just us now." The sound of the storm outside blended with the rhythm of 3 tiny heartbeats, the only promise that hadn't been broken. As Amelia's screams echoed through the sterile halls of the hospital, David sat across from Maya in a candlelit restaurant, the world around him glowing with luxury and deceit. The golden chandeliers sparkled above as he reached into his pocket and pulled out a small velvet box. Maya's eyes widened, a satisfied smile curving her lips as he opened it to reveal a stunning diamond ring. "To new beginnings," he murmured smoothly, slipping it onto her finger. The crowd around them applauded, unaware of the cruelty hidden beneath the celebration. Champagne glasses clinked as the waiter poured the finest vintage into crystal flutes. Maya leaned forward, brushing her hand over David's, her voice soft and possessive. "You're finally free of her," she whispered. David chuckled, signing the property documents laid neatly before him, papers granting her co-ownership of a luxury penthouse. His signature was confident, decisive, and heartless. The same hand that had once held Amelia's during doctor visits, that had promised her forever, now sealed her betrayal with ink and greed. Outside, rain lashed against the windows, nature itself seeming to protest. As David kissed Maya's hand, the contrast was cruel. One woman screamed in pain, bringing his children into the world, while another smiled over stolen vows and sparkling lies. Under the harsh white lights of the delivery room, Amelia's cries of pain turned into soft sobs of relief as the cries of her newborns filled the air. The doctor smiled warmly, holding up each tiny life. 2 beautiful boys and a delicate little girl, all fragile but breathing. "Congratulations, Mrs. Carter," he said gently. "They're fighters." Tears streamed down Amelia's cheeks as she reached out, her trembling hands brushing over the soft blankets wrapped around her children. For a moment, the agony and loneliness faded. These babies, her miracle, were worth every broken promise, every sleepless night, every tear. The nurses fussed around her, their smiles kind but cautious. As she rested, the emptiness beside her bed grew heavier with each passing second. There was no proud father's hand to hold, no whispered words of comfort or love. When she regained a little strength, Amelia weakly asked one of the nurses, "Can you, please call my husband?" The nurse exchanged a nervous glance with her colleague before gently setting down the phone. "Mrs. Carter," she began carefully, "I think you should see this first." She turned the tablet screen toward Amelia, and there it was. David, her husband, kneeling before Maya, sliding a ring onto her finger, smiling for cameras. The headline burned into her heart: "Billionaire attorney engaged to rising star associate." At that very moment, while she brought his children into the world, he was publicly erasing her existence. Amelia's world shatters the moment the headlines hit every news channel. The hospital corridors buzz with whispers as cameras flash outside the maternity ward. Nurses rush to block reporters from barging in, but the scandal has already exploded online. The headline blares across every screen: "Power attorney proposes to mistress while wife delivers triplets." Her name trends for all the wrong reasons: pity, betrayal, and humiliation wrapped into a single story. Strangers debate her pain as if it were entertainment. By the time David storms into the hospital, the damage is done. His expensive suit is immaculate, his expression cold, calculating, not remorseful. "We need to handle this carefully," he says, his voice laced with irritation. "You'll tell the press we were already separated. I can't have this ruining my career." His words pierce deeper than the betrayal itself. Amelia, pale and exhausted from childbirth, stares at him in disbelief. "Separated," she whispers. "You abandoned me during labor." But David doesn't flinch. He straightens his tie, more concerned with image than the 3 tiny lives sleeping beside her. For the first time, Amelia feels her grief harden into resolve. The man she once loved no longer deserves her silence. The humiliation that crushed her heart now fuels her awakening, a storm of dignity rising against arrogance. Judge Thomas Carter sits in his study late into the night, the glow of his desk lamp illuminating stacks of documents spread before him. His face, usually calm and composed, is etched with fury and heartbreak. Every page tells a story of deceit: financial transfers from Amelia's inheritance to Maya's account, falsified contracts, and property deeds illegally signed in her absence. What began as betrayal has turned into fraud. The man he once trusted as family had not only broken his daughter's heart, but exploited her name and wealth for personal gain. Thomas's years of judicial experience sharpen his instincts. He knows exactly how to proceed, quietly, meticulously, and with absolute precision. He calls in a trusted investigator, instructing him to trace every illegal transaction. "No loopholes," he says firmly. "I want every hidden account exposed." Beneath his controlled tone lies a father's righteous anger. Meanwhile, Amelia, unaware of her father's plan, focuses on her newborns, still healing emotionally and physically. Her father visits her briefly, his expression soft when he looks at the babies but turning cold as steel when David's name is mentioned. "You don't need to say a word," he tells her gently. "Justice doesn't shout, it strikes." David's smug confidence shatters the moment the courier delivers the thick envelope sealed with the official court insignia. At first, he laughs it off, assuming it's a misunderstanding, another attempt by the press to stir drama. But as he flips through the pages, the color drains from his face. The charges are serious: fraud, emotional abuse, and misappropriation of marital assets. Every transaction, every secret deal, every misuse of Amelia's inheritance is detailed with surgical precision. Maya, sitting beside him, reads over his shoulder, her hands trembling. "David, this mentions my name too," she stammers, realizing her signature on those property transfers now ties her directly to his crimes. Panic ripples through her voice as she imagines headlines turning against her. David tries to brush it off, assuring her he can handle it, but for the first time his arrogance falters. Then he reaches the final page, the signature of the presiding judge. Honorable Judge Thomas Carter. The name hits like a thunderclap. The man he mocked and ignored, the father of the woman he humiliated, will now judge his fate. For the first time, David feels fear replace pride. The walls he built with lies are closing in, and this time there's no escape. The courtroom buzzes with tension, every seat filled with reporters, lawyers, and onlookers eager to witness the fall of the once celebrated attorney David Carter. Flashbulbs erupt as he walks in. His suit immaculate but his eyes betraying sleepless nights. He tries to maintain his composure, flashing a hollow smile, but beside him, Maya trembles, her confidence shattered. Across the aisle, Amelia sits poised, her face serene, her hands resting gently on her lap, the picture of quiet strength. Judge Thomas Carter enters, the room instantly falling silent. His gaze lands on David, cold and sharp, every word he speaks carrying the weight of both justice and personal pain. "Mr. Carter," he begins, "you stand accused of betrayal, not only of law but of trust." The evidence begins to roll in: forged property documents, falsified bank transfers, and secret recordings of David's manipulative calls. Each revelation tightens the noose around his reputation. Maya is called to the stand. Her voice cracks as she recounts how David used her, promising wealth and power while deceiving everyone. When the prosecution presents proof that David forged Amelia's signature to access her inheritance, gasps ripple through the courtroom. David's face drains of color as he realizes there's no way out. The man once admired for his eloquence now stammers in defense, cornered and humiliated. By the time Judge Carter strikes his gavel, the world no longer sees a powerful lawyer, only a man destroyed by his own greed and betrayal. Judge Thomas Carter's voice cuts through the hushed courtroom like a blade. Every word he speaks drips with authority and restrained fury. "David Carter," he begins, eyes fixed on the man who once called him father, "you have not only violated the law but defiled the sanctity of trust and family. Your actions were deliberate, selfish, and cruel. And today, justice will speak louder than your excuses." The courtroom remains pin-drop silent as the verdict unfolds. With steady conviction, Judge Carter announces the dissolution of the marriage, full restoration of Amelia's assets, and an immediate suspension of David's legal license pending a full investigation. Gasps ripple through the gallery as the once revered lawyer's career collapses in real time. "Let this be a reminder," the judge declares, his gaze unwavering, "that betrayal may escape morality for a while, but it never escapes justice." David lowers his head, his arrogance finally stripped away, while officers move to escort him out. Maya vanishes into the crowd, her face pale, her career effectively destroyed by scandal. Reporters rush to Amelia, but she only smiles faintly, tears glistening, not of sorrow but release. In that moment, she becomes more than a wronged wife. She becomes a symbol of resilience, grace, and triumph over betrayal. Weeks pass, and the noise of the scandal slowly fades, replaced by the gentle hum of new beginnings. Amelia finds peace in the soft cries and laughter of her triplets, Ethan, Noah, and Grace. Her living reminders that love can still bloom after destruction. Each feeding, each sleepless night strengthens her resolve. The woman who once broke under betrayal now rebuilds her life from the ashes of heartbreak. Determined to turn her pain into purpose, Amelia launches a foundation dedicated to helping single mothers and women recovering from emotional and financial abuse. Her initiative quickly gains attention, inspiring countless others to rise above despair. Donations pour in, and media outlets clamor for interviews. But Amelia's message is never about revenge. It's about resilience. In every appearance, she speaks softly yet firmly about faith, dignity, and the power of standing tall even when the world tries to break you. "You are never defined by who leaves you," she says in one viral clip, "but by how you choose to stand once they're gone." Her strength becomes contagious, her smile a beacon of hope. Amelia Carter is no longer just a survivor. She's a symbol of rebirth and grace. Months later, the sun filters warmly through the windows of Amelia's cozy home. Laughter fills the air as the triplets crawl and toddle across the living room floor, their tiny hands reaching for their grandfather. Judge Thomas Carter, once stern and composed in the courtroom, softens as he lifts one of them into his arms. "They have your spirit," he says proudly to Amelia, who smiles, radiant, peaceful, and free. Gone are the dark circles beneath her eyes and the weight of silent suffering. Her foundation thrives, helping hundreds of women rebuild their lives, just as she rebuilt hers. Newspapers praise her as a symbol of grace and justice. From betrayal to bravery, Amelia Carter's revolution. Outside, a breeze rustles through the garden she planted with her children's names etched on small stones. She watches them play and whispers, "Justice isn't about revenge, it's about freedom." Those words, simple yet profound, echo the essence of her journey. As the camera pans out, the world fades into a tranquil silence. David's name has long vanished from the headlines, but Amelia's legacy only grows stronger, not born from pain, but from the peace she finally earned and the justice she inspired.